At this time, we're going to prepare for the Word of God. This person is a true woman of God. She loves God with her whole heart. She serves Him with her whole body, mind, and soul. She tells the truth, she lives the truth, and she speaks the truth. I want to introduce to some and present to others none other than Prophetess Monica Bryant. Let's give her a hand as she comes.
I'm going to go back to verse 12. It says, a vagabond, a fugitive, and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. That means that God sent him out and further into the earth. Then Cain turns around and he says to God, my punishment is greater than I can bear. The punishment was greater than he can bear. The punishment. Then he says, because this day, he says, you have driven me, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth. And from thy face shall I be hid. He's saying that when he goes out there, that he's going to be hid. That means he won't be seen anymore. Won't nobody know where he's at. He will not be socially connected to mom and dad. He won't be even connected to the people that are going to come after him. He's going to be out there all by himself, except for one thing, a wife, which he ends up taking with him. He says, I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Now, I have a question. How is anybody going to find him and he the only one out there? Adam and Eve were the first. Right? Because when God created, He created in spirit. He created in spirit first. Okay? So when you read in chapter 2 and you read about all that God did, He created. After creation came formation. That's when everything was formed afterwards. That's why I always say God puts the cart before the horse. Because He created us, but He created us by spirit. First, male and female, He created them. Then He went, and in chapter 3, you learn about the generations of heaven and earth. That means that what took place. That God went, first, He had a mist to come out from amongst the ground, because it had never rained on the earth before. When the mist came out from among the ground, well, it wet the dirt. That's when He went and He formed Adam with His hands. He was able to form that clay. He formed him from the dust of the ground. He formed him. And after He formed him, He did what? He blew breath into his nostril and he became a living soul. So therefore He came alive by the Spirit of God. Right. So the Spirit of God was blown into him. So in order for you to experience a spiritual death, you first got to be alive first, spiritually, right? You got to be a living soul first to experience that spiritual death. But some of us are still dead and we're not alive quite yet. We have to come alive by the Word of God. So with Cain, and I'm still there at that question now. How is it that Cain is so afraid that someone's going to find him and he's the only one out there? He's the only one out there. Well, in order to find the answer to that question, you got to go to chapter 5. When you go to chapter 5 and you read chapter 5, it talks about the genealogy of Adam. We have to remember one thing. Adam lived a very long time. Adam lived for 900 and something years. I mean, that's almost 1,000 years for us. And Adam continued to have children. And he had daughters as well as he had Cain and Abel. It doesn't speak about it in the Bible, but there is the evidence of it. And when Cain took upon a wife, he took upon a sister as a wife. You got to remember, keep in mind, who was all on this earth now. So when God casted him further out into the earth, Cain didn't know what was out there. What was out there? Beasts of the field, fowls of the air. You understand what I'm saying? The creepy crawly things, they were already there. But what Cain was afraid, why he was afraid, He said because of them finding him, he knew that they were going to kill him. Because like I said in the beginning, that you're going to tell the story of what happened. Oh, let me tell you about Uncle Cain. Let me tell you what he did to Uncle Abel. So if ever these brothers and sisters grow up and go out into the earth and they see him and find him and they know it's him, that they're going to kill him because of what he did. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's not who was out there before him, it was who was going to come out there after him. Not after him in the sense of chasing him down, but Cain already knew. See, that's why I get confused about Cain a little bit sometimes, because he already had a spiritual mind to know that people were going to be born after him and live a long life. And live a long life. Why? Because Cain ain't heard nobody dying but his brother Abel by his hands. And that was through murder. Even after Cain was kicked out further into the earth, his father was still spry, probably at the age of 300. He was probably in teenage years then, probably just as spry as I don't know what. You understand what I'm saying? Think about that. And Abel had many children after that. Because not only did he have many children, he had grandchildren. Then he had great-grandchildren and great-great-great-grandchildren and great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren. If you read in chapter 5, the genealogy. And there was many people that was born before Adam died. So if you could just imagine Adam being 900 and something years old, that how old were the other children? That sooner or later they were going to go out there and they was going to find out all about Cain.